Hey and welcome Year 10 IGCSE students. Today we are looking at manipulating algebraic fractions, and because I'm working with the Year 11s today, I've decided to do a video for you so that you can get a bit of an understanding of what's required for you in exercise 2.8. Excuse me. I'm not requiring you to do everything from the exercise. I'm going to do a fair number, and I expect you to try a few on your own as well and check them in the answer book to make sure you've got them correct, or if you've gone wrong, to figure out where you've gone wrong. If you can't figure that out, then I encourage you to contact me or another student and we can put you on the right track and help you understand what's going on. So today's exercise is really setting up for tomorrow's exercise, which you'll be with me in class for, where we use our knowledge of manipulating algebraic fractions to solve equations where we have algebraic fractions. So let us start off with some nice and easy ones, like for example 1a, where we have 3x third plus x fifth. Oh no, sorry, 3x fifth. Sorry, what am I doing? Read the instructions. Fifth plus x fifths. Okay, now because the denominator is exactly the same, you just add the numerator, so we end up with 4x over 5. So when the numerator is the same, it's very, very easy. I'll do one more from this section. How about this one here? 4x sevenths plus 2x sevenths minus x sevenths. And you can see here that we can add the first two, which is 6x over 7, and we can subtract this last one, 6x take away 1x, so it ends up being 5x over 7 is our final answer. So when the denominator is the same, very, very easy. Now we're going to move on to some examples where the denominator is not the same. So let's have a look at this example, x over 2 plus x over 4. So what we do in this situation is we're going to multiply this x over 2, we're going to multiply it by 2 over 2, so that we can then have the fractions in the same with the same denominator. You'll note that I didn't cross multiply because I could see that this denominator here could go evenly into fourths. And then when I work that out, I end up with 3x fourth. Okay, let's try another one. Sometimes you're going to get something like C, where you have fifths and thirds, and you can see that neither of these goes into the other. Like, we can't get that 3 into 5 evenly. So this is a situation where we're just going to multiply the cross multiply. So we multiply this one by 3 over 3 and this one by 5 over 5. And that gives us, in our second line, we end up 3 times 2 is 6. So 6x over 15. And the other one, 5x over 15. And when we add those together, of course, you can see that we have 11x over 15, and that will be our final answer. Now sometimes, of course, we're going to have examples where we're subtracting things. So let's have a look at G, for instance. And here you have 9x over 10, subtract 2x over 5. And hopefully you can see that the 5 goes into the 10. So all we need to do is multiply that one by 2 over 2. So in our next line, we're going to get 9x tenths, subtract 4x over 10. And this gives us 9x take away 5, 4x is 5x over 10. And we can still simplify that further to 1x over 2. Or x over 2, right? Cancel. Right. Moving on. What are we up to? Let's have a look, see if we can find some interesting ones. Now, sometimes you'll get ones that are a little bit more complex. So, for instance, have a look at 4b. And you'll see here that the numerator is more complex. So we've got x minus 3 as one numerator, where our denominator is 5. And we're adding to that x plus 1, where our denominator is 6. So what we're going to do is we're going to cross multiply. So we're going to times this one by 6. Whoops, that's a 6 over 6. We want to times the whole thing. And we're going to times this one by 5 over 5. Again, you're going to times the whole thing. So how we do this step by step is we say, all right, it's 6 and then bracket x minus 3, because you want to say that that 6 is multiplying everything in the numerator, not just one of those numbers. Then it's all over 30. The second one, we're going to go 5 and then bracket x plus 1, because the 5 multiplies by everything in the numerator. And now we can, at this point, expand the top. So everything is over 30th. Expand that first bracket, we get 6x, take away 18, right? That times that, and that times that. Then we're going to expand the next bracket, this times this, and this times this. So we get plus 5x plus 5, and then we put that all together, gather our like terms. So I've got 11x, gather our other like terms. So I've got negative 18 plus 5, so that's negative 13, and then we put it all over 30, and that is our final answer. Let's try another one of these guys. Let's take a look at something like E, 4e. So for 4e, we've got 3 bracket x plus 1 all over 4, and we're going to add to that 2 bracket x plus 3 over 3. So again, we're going to cross multiply. So you can see we're going to times this one by 3 over 3, and this one by 4 over 4, and we'll end up with 12ths. So the next line should equal, now if I times this whole thing by 3, I could say that that first bracket is going to be 9, so it's going to be 9 bracket x plus 1, because that 3 times this 3 gives us 9. Oh, not plus 11. And then the second one, I'm going to times that 2 by the 4, so I end up with 8 multiplying the x plus 3, and that will all be over 12 as well. Now we simply expand our brackets, and it's all going to be over 12. That's our denominator. So we get 9x plus 9 plus 8x plus 24, and then we can gather our like terms. So you see we've got 9x here, positive 8x here, and then we've got positive 9 here and positive 24 here. So when we gather those like terms, we get 9 and 8, which is 17x, and 9 plus 24, which is 33. We chuck that all over 12, and that's our final answer for E. So hopefully you're starting to see how this works. Now sometimes you get some with a fraction take away a fraction, and this is where it can get a little bit more tricky. So let me do a couple of these for you. So for example, 5b. Here we have 3x minus 2 all over 5, and we're taking from that the x minus 3 all over 8. We're going to cross multiply, so I'm going to times this one by 8 over 8, and I'm going to times this one by 5 over 5. Now what we have to be very careful of is we've got this minus here, okay? So I'm going to pay attention to that as we work our way down. So the first fraction, 8 times 3 gives us 24x minus 16. So that's the first part. And then we're subtracting, and then we times this next one, 5x minus 15 over 8. Now this minus here applies to everything here. So when we go to our next line, we're going to get 24x minus 16, take away all of that, and it's all over, oh sorry, I didn't change my denominators in that previous step, my apologies. We have cross multiplied, so we now are in 40ths, aren't we? My apologies. Okay, and it's all over 40. Now, so you can see that what we've got, and I'm doing this slowly, I'm doing it step by step for you, 24x minus 16, the minus will apply to the 5x, so it becomes minus 5x, and when we apply the minus to the minus 15, we get positive 15. So if you're a bit prone to making mistakes, you might want to do it step by step like I have here. Now we can look at our like terms. So 24 take away 5 gives me 19x, and then I've got negative 16 plus 15, which will give me minus 1, and that's all over 40, and that will be that one. Okay, now let's try another one of these just to see how we go. Maybe I'll do 5c as well and leave you to try a few on your own. So we'll make this our last one for the day. Okay, no, maybe I'll do f, because f looks a little bit more complex. So we'll do f. So we've got 3 bracket x minus 1, and that's all over 4. and I'm subtracting from that 2 bracket x plus 6 all over 9. Now, I'm going to cross multiply these, I think. I'm going to cross multiply this by 4 over 4. And then next line, well, we get 9 times 3, so that's 27 bracket x minus 1. And that's all over 36 because we've changed our denominator. And then that 4 times the 2 will give us 8 here, so x plus 6 all over 36. Now be careful because we've got this minus here, which is going to apply a negative to everything over here. Right, so next line, we'll do it step by step. So I get 27x minus 27 minus, and then 8 bracket x plus 6 all over 36. Now let's expand that bracket. So we get 27x minus 27. Now when we expand it, it's a minus 8 times x and then minus 8 times 6. So we get negative 8x and negative 48. And this should be all over 36. Now what do we get here? So we get negative 27 minus 48. So that gives me negative 75. And I've got 27 take away 8, which is I think 19x again, and that ought to be all over 36. And we are done. So I hope that sets you up for tomorrow. You need to be very familiar with how to do this kind of work because tomorrow we're solving algebraic expressions, equations where we are using fractions. So go through this exercise, try a few more, not just the ones that I've done, try a few more, make sure you're prepared for the lesson tomorrow so that you're not wasting time because you don't know what you're doing. Let me know if you have any questions. Alright team, God bless.